Hello Eternum and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news, and this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night as the forces of Barry Dodgers managed to hold off Sugar and Spice for 15 minutes inside the fort. We caught up with company leadership relaxing after the fight and asked them about the outcome. Congratulations on your victory out there tonight against the forces of Sugar and Spice. However, I don't think you fielded a full team. Would you care to take us through what happened?
Yeah, John, as you know, the new company restrictions for war went into place this week, and, we were scrounging up last minute to fill our B team, but we were able to come through with a 40 out of 50 roster with 30 in company, and then from the main roster, we held it down 40 v 50.
Who are these two outstanding young individuals you seem to have brought out here?
Yeah, John, these are actually our two MVPs for the war tonight. We got VP Fast and 2V, level 19 and 27, respectively. And they are our BIS Hornblowers. Hornblower 1, Hornblower 2. They're popping off on those cannons we put up, but yeah, they came through.
How did company leader Wong fare out there tonight?
Yeah, John, unfortunately, he was not able to make it tonight, but he did leave us with the message of if we were to lose and disappoint him, it would be death by 1,000 cuts for everybody involved. Thankfully, we were able to hold it and not let our supreme leader down.
Quickly to the weather, and it's going to be a boring day of sunshine all afternoon long, followed by a pretty low 20% chance of corruption invasion forces uprising across the island. No submissions for simulated fantasy combat resolution tonight, but we'll have any late-breaking outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello Eternum and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news, and this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night as the tranquility of the season brings a night of peace to the island. KOTT news crews took the opportunity to investigate the mysterious disappearance of Imhotep. After manipulating a complex mirror system across a vast ancient ruin, KOTT were eventually able to discover a crypt, which led to even more questions. Investigating further, we came across our old arch-nemesis and started climbing to get away. And then, after an exhaustive session of Super Mario, was able to track down Imhotep, who was not himself. After knocking some sense into my fevered and delusional friend, I was able to administer his medicine and help him regain some sense of self. KOTT News will bring you more on this story as it develops. Turning to the weather, and it's going to be another beautiful day of sunlight spreading across the land all day long. But after sundown, be on the lookout for a 20% chance of invasion to arise across the island. 5 lineup submissions for simulated fantasy combat resolution tonight. Brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. Up first, the Covenant forces of Washed Degenerates assault the Marauders of Thrust Damage for control of the primary oil reserves of Weaver's Fin. Washed Degenerate forces immediately exercising their right to rematch, signaling their intentions to take back what Thrust Damage won away earlier this week. Thrust Damage running a tight schedule tonight, fighting in back-to-back wars on the same night, or will they split their attention to focus on the later bout? Then, the Covenant forces of Tropical House assail the Syndicate forces of Soju Gang for control of First Light and the flow of the spice. Tropical House also exercising a right to rematch, but not for the region they lost. Rather, they may have been reserving their strategies in order to acquire a more comfortable home here. The long nights of the winter convergence are the time of year when hyssop and spice production are at their lowest. As such, more defenders will be available to hold the fort. Meanwhile, the Marauders of to-be-determined Dodgers attack the Syndicate forces of Strawberry for control of the medicinal hot springs and resort destination of Ebonscale. Dodgers forces, taking advantage of the new rules of armed conflict, strike at a great house whose efforts may be divided, simultaneously fighting in the championship bout. Or will they? Is it possible that Strawberry has managed to fill their company roster and actually have the requisite number of members to fight in 2 wars at the same time? Meanwhile also, the Marauders of Highwind Dragoons assault the Covenant forces of Daddy Chill for control of the always uncontrollable Restless Shore. Highwind Dragoons making another move to dislodge a great house and take their first region on the island. But will they find success fighting in the mud? Daddy Chill making their first defense of the fort since conquering it earlier this week. But will they be able to field the proper roster for defense? In the title bout, the Marauders of Thrust Damage challenge the Syndicate forces of Strawberry for their championship title and the right to rule over Everfall. In the green corner, hailing from the peat moss bog of the Fen, seeking to expand their empire by giving their all against the champs, the recently crowned Great House, Thrust Damage. And in the purple corner, defending their belt for the second time this Neverfall run, your current, reigning, heavyweight champions of Eternum, Strawberry. We'll have any late-breaking outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. Dynamic change in the history of Eternum last night as Tropical House secure the hyssop and spice production facilities of First Light. And Wang Zhang and the Dodgers of the Marauders walk right into the bamboo forest preserves to claim the Akia, the Hamlet, and the Hot Springs. But wait, there's more, as the forces of washed degenerates went out in the peat moss bog of the Fen, procuring the primary oil reserves of Weaver's Fen. KOTT News were on the scene in the Fen as payouts were being made. We spoke with a mercenarial participant about the fight. I know it's going to be a busy night, so I won't keep you very long. Was there anybody out there who you might want to highlight, though?
Yeah, no, definitely our group. Demi, Watson, Juice, me, and I forgot who else was in there. But yeah, Group 8, Group 9, we did very well.
The first to fall during 4 simultaneous fights, we spoke with new regional leadership in Evanscale about their plans to upgrade the Hamlet. Congratulations on your victory up here in Evanscale, but let's not mince words. We know the champs are down in Everfall holding their defense right now for their heavyweight title.
Yeah, John. They were down a handful of people. You know, we didn't know what to do with our extra 10 or so people.
What will we be doing now that you're in charge of the Hamlet?
We're going to keep the hot springs nice and warm. You know, it's winter. People to have a nice place to come and relax, enjoy after war.
Moments later in First Light, KOTT News were able to secure an interview with a very excited Spice Lord. Now you are the reigning Spice Lords of the island. How do you feel about it?
I feel great!
Fantastic. Would you care to take us through what went out there on the battlefield?
Yeah! So what happened was, alright, John, listen to me. Okay, listen to this, okay? We came out here to play ball. You know what it is, John. Street Biz felt it firsthand. We came out here to play ball. We came out here and pushed. We came out here to hug each other. We came out here to fight and hug each other, John.
Turning to the advanced forward observation post forecast, and it looks like after the sun does its thing again today, only a handful of invasion corruption forces will rise up and cause trouble for 20% of the island. Yet another submission for simulated fantasy combat resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. Tonight, the Syndicate forces of Strawberry assail the Covenant forces of Most Wanted for control of the master fishing port town of Reekwater. Strawberry forces may have a little pent-up frustration after last night's simultaneous fights, so they'll sail into Reekwater with a little extra motivation. The forces of Most Wanted have been helping out where needed around the island, but will they be able to field a roster of 50 of their own by tonight's starting horns? We'll have the outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. Dynamic change in the history of Eternum last night as the Syndicate forces of Strawberry secure the master fishing port town of Reekwater. KOTT News crews caught up with Strawberry in Ebonscale of all places, where they were having their payouts. Afterwards, we spoke with company leadership about the outcome and their intentions. Thank you very much for taking a moment to stop and talk to me. I really appreciate it. Congratulations on your victory out there. No cameraman for me today, but it looks like you got it done in about 20 minutes. Tell me, are they still adjusting to the new rules of armed conflict, or do you really have a good fight out there?
Yeah, let's go friendly.
I don't have any like nothing bad to say about Most Wanted. They tried their best. They actually did pretty good. It was fun, and that was like an actual war that I would probably like to do again.
Oh, fantastic. I'm sure they'd like to run it back at their earliest convenience. I noticed that you assembled here in Ebonscale for your payouts. Do you have intentions to push this region immediately?
I mean, they waited 5 days to get a double deck on us for our territory, so we're going to make sure that they don't have any territories on the entire map. They're going to have none by the end of this week, and it's going to be super cool.
Looking at the weather for tonight's fights, and after a long afternoon of sunshine, yet again, the island's invasion forces will rise up and invade roughly 20% of the island. 2 more submissions for simulated fantasy combat resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. Up first, the Covenant forces of And Everything Nice Company attack the Marauders of Losing to 40 Dodgers for control of the bear-infested deep forests of Brightwood. I'm not so sure what's so nice about attacking a community in the middle of the second harshest winter in Eternum's history. But if these Sparkies can persuade the citizens, maybe they can flip the region. Dodger leadership haven't given word on whether or not they'll be utilizing any of the junior varsity squad members tonight, but after their performances earlier this week, they may not have a choice. Later, the Marauders of Highwind Dragoons assault the Syndicate forces of Soju Gang for control of the rain-drenched mountain region of Morningdale. Highwind Dragoons turned their attention north to Morningdale after attempting to ransack Restless Shore 2 nights ago. KOTT News will bring you more on this nomadic, up-and-coming group as they seek a land to call home. The forward observation post of Morningdale keeps the Syndicate well informed of the events on the island. As such, Soju Gang are very well prepared to defend themselves against the oncoming Marauders. We'll have the outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night as the Marauders of Dodgers hold off the Zealots to retain the bear-infested deep forests of Brightwood. And the Syndicate forces of Soju Gang retain control of the rain-drenched mountain region of Morningdale. KOTT News crews were on the scene in Morningdale and caught up with a company representative after the fight. Congratulations on your victory out there tonight. I see that you fell back to a B hold pretty early, but you did hold on B. How do you feel it went out there?
Well, we lasted more than 5 minutes this time, so that was good. Not for real though, it was a good war. We unfortunately, the roster changes kind of, took a toll on us, and we're trying to adjust and, recruit and get members into groups they need to be permanently, so I think we were definitely a step closer to that tonight, so that was good. I felt the army had some cohesion, and we were definitely ready for this war. We didn't sleep on it like last time.
Yeah, I hear you. I had the opportunity to check out your pregame, and without revealing anything, I thought it was a pretty solid strategy to hold. Was there anybody out there whose efforts you might want to highlight tonight? Anybody stand out?
Yep, I want to highlight, Look, Are You Mad? Because, came home from like a 6-hour flight or whatever and showed up for the war. And then, Marty, too, logged in on a laptop from Japan. Shout out to Marty. He's my boy. Everybody pulled through this time.
Cheers. Well, big shout out to both of those two. Indeed, a 6-hour flight, I might not have made it myself. And logging in from Japan, Sugoyo. Earlier in Brightwood, KOTT News crews secured an interview with Marauder leadership. Congratulations on your victory here in Brightwood, holding them off for yet another day. How do you feel it went out there this time?
I thought it was great, John. We all binded together. We came to do our common goal and job, and it is close to Christmas, so we're all about the gift of giving, but not this time, John. Someone's coming after our land. We fight back, and I felt it just went overall really good. Everyone binded together and just kicked some butt and took some names.
Excellent. Was there anybody out there whose efforts were outstanding tonight?
I want to thank our governor, Wong Zong. He's standing in front of us here. He's carried me through servers over and over, many times again. He's carried me on his back. He's taught me how to heal, and this shot goes out to Wong Zong. Really appreciate him. First life staff he's ever given me. Thank you, Wong. Appreciate it, buddy. God bless you.
How are you adjusting to the new rules of armed conflict?
It's been a tough one, John. I'm not going to lie to you. It's been a rough go. I almost honestly feel like it needs a little more adjusting. The devs have came a long way, but it's got a long way to go as well. But I don't know. It's tough out there, John. Every night's different, right? But we just bring our game and do what we do.
Turning to the weather, and once again, if you can believe it, the sun will rise and fall as it routinely does every single day. But look out after sunset because, once again, the corruption invasion forces will assault roughly 30% of the island. Only one submission for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. Tonight, the Covenant forces of Most Wanted assail the Syndicate forces of Cutlass Keys Fan Club for control of the secondary oil reserves of Cutlass Keys. The former Great House of Most Wanted returning to the battlefield to reclaim that title. But will they be able to overcome the longest currently tenured Great House on the island? The forces of Cutlass Keys Fan Club should be well rested, having been left uncontested for 2 weeks. But will that be enough with the new rules of armed conflict? Be sure to tune in for complete coverage and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. Dynamic change in the history of Eternum last night as the forces of Most Wanted end the longest continuous tenure on the island and claim the secondary oil reserves of Cutlass Keys. KOTT news crews were on the scene and spoke with company leadership about the fight. Congratulations on your victory out here in Cutlass Keys, overcoming the Cutlass Keys fan clubs of all people. It was over pretty quickly. Were they able to field a full roster?
Yeah, definitely. It looks like they did. It was a great war. Fair fight. We just kind of ran them over, you know?
Oh, some nights are like that, indeed. Was there anybody out there whose efforts really stood out for you tonight?
Yeah, definitely. My shot caller, Savrin, he fought a great war, great plan. All the kill squad did their job. Our Zerg did our job. It was great.
Well, once a former Great House, now a Great House once again. What are your intentions for the hamlet of Cutlass Keys?
No plans at the moment, you know. It's Christmas. We're just going to chill and have a Merry Christmas to everybody.
Quickly to the weather, and the sun will once again cruise across the Eternum sky all day long. But look out later on for a 20% chance of invasion rising up in Brightwood and Cutlass Keys. 2 more submissions for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it is cardboard. Up first, the Syndicate forces of Strawberry attack the Marauders of Losing to 40 Dodgers for control of the medicinal hot springs and resort destination of Evanscale. It's only been a few days since the forces of Strawberry yielded the region during a night of simultaneous engagements, but they're not doing anything else tonight. The opportunistic forces of Losing to 40 Dodgers claimed the hamlet through adverse possession, but they're not without an army of 40 combatants ready to defend it too. Later, the Marauders of Thrust Damage assault the Covenant forces of Washed Degenerates for control of the primary oil reserves of Weaver's Fen. Thrust Damage exercising their right to rematch, having been displaced from the Fen a few days ago. But this time, they should have their roster lineups well prepared for an actual fight. Wash degenerate forces governing the peat moss bog for the second time after being previously displaced by these same thrust-damaging marauders. Is this turning into an island rivalry? We'll have the outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. Dynamic changes in the history of Eternum last night as the forces of Strawberry barrel through the defense and claim the resort destination of Ebonscale. And the bow and spear crew of Thrust Damage managed to make their way to the flag and claim the primary oil reserves of Weaver's Fin. But that's not all. A last-moment declaration sees the forces of Def Not Nirvana capturing the spice harvesting and production facilities of First Light. KOTT News crews were on the scene all night long, starting in Ebonscale, where we caught up with Strawberry leadership.
It was rather decisive, John, not gonna lie.
Yeah, I noticed. It didn't really look like they all showed up tonight. What do you think?
Yeah, I haven't seen enemy roster, but I mean, we definitely didn't all show up last time. It was like 38 v50. It really sucks when you miss players. It definitely makes the difference.
Yeah, indeed. I'm noticing that with these restrictions, it's either a really good fight or somebody just steamrolls because of the timing of the rosters.
When it comes down to it, it's like you win war by getting all your apes to stand on point, and if you just simply have more apes than them, then you tick the point. So it's like losing players is probably the worst thing that could happen. And it's like the old system, you know, just autofill from standby, so you know at least you got 50 apes. But now it's like if you run out of merc slots, you just don't get 50 players.
You got 3 territories now. How well do you think you'll be able to hold on to those over the next couple weeks?
Probably not well at all. I'm gonna be honest. We're gonna let Requadr go if it comes to it, and then Everfall is home base. So players are more than welcome to play the game. I mean, we'll fill best we can, but you can only play 1 defense a day. If you don't have a second Steam account that's war capable, you're kind of chalked.
Later on in First Light, we caught up with the new ruling Spice Lords of the island. Yes, I can hear you just fine. Care to say a few words about tonight's outcome?
It was a good war. You know, we really put in the work. Went over the VODs. Big improvement. So put up a good fight. Really good to be back to New World, and I'm now the reigning emperor of First Light.
Your strategies clearly work. What did you see in the VODs that you were able to capitalize on?
So what we saw was if we stand on the point, it's the easiest way to win a war is standing on the point. So we just did a lot of standing on point, and you know, we pulled us through.
Well, excellent. Was there anybody out there who outperformed themselves tonight? I know it was over pretty quickly, but surely somebody did something special.
You know, I don't like to shine the spotlight on one person. Every war is a 50-man ordeal. All 50 men put in their best tonight.
After the Weaver's Fin outcome, we spoke with company leadership as their companions celebrated around us. Once again in charge of the hamlet here in Weaver's Fin, how do you feel it went out there?
I think it went pretty clean. Had a lot of groups working together cohesively. It's awesome to see, especially because we got a bunch of new guys rolling in. So good to test the mettle of those guys. And yeah, it looks like we secured the bag successfully.
Indeed. These guys right here, all these guys hanging out with us?
Oh yeah, yeah. These are only part of the crew, but definitely MVP caliber guys, no matter where you look.
Turning to the weather, and after a night of simulated fantasy combat, it's nice to have a peaceful afternoon of sunshine and blue skies. But after sunset, it looks like the new leaders of the island will have their hands full with a 40% chance of corruption invasion. No submissions for simulated fantasy combat resolution tonight, but we'll have any late-breaking outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News.